Hi, Betty.
All right, we're going to record this one, folks. So, nice to see all of you here. Uh, we're going to plunge back into Darwin's book, Effort and Grace. In the earlier chapters, Darwin describes the subconscious as a thick layer of clouds that blocks us from seeing the sun of our own being. I mean, he describes it like that. We are the light itself, but Baba works personally with each one to remove the limitations, the false beliefs, the wants and desires, the guilt, the unworthiness, all of those things that form this thick layer of clouds. And Darwin was very encouraging that if Baba will work with us and thin out the clouds so that that light will will shine through. He said we are his work projects, and he is there to work with us whenever we are ready. Um, and Darwin always kind of emphasized that Baba's work with us needn't be like castor oil, taking castor oil. It can be engaging and fun. Fun. I mean, he was really, can you imagine? You can actually have fun on this journey. And little by little, the sun of our own being will begin to pierce through the clouds. So we're starting on chapter 3, and let's see who. Well, I'm just going to let anybody who might want to choose. Wow. Just a second. I think I'm gone here. Okay. Uh, who wants to choose the readers?
I will. It's my job.
Okay, go for it. Just
So pick them off like candy, right?
yeah.
All right, let's go with Betty. We're starting with chapter 3, Our Master's Loving Help.
Can she do it?
Can you do it?
Our master's loving help. Ideally, will you just tell me how long? I don't know how long I should read.
Just read the individual
Okay.
chapter would be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Ideally, we will realize that we can remove our own false self from the scene enough so that Baba can work. We become onlookers observing what is happening. In other words, we are not trying to direct Baba. We are getting out of his way and allowing him to work on us. Cleaning out the Aegean stables of the subconscious mind requires our close attention and earnest effort. It is not something that is easily done because we are locked into our misconceptions and imprisoned by our perception of who we are, and what creation is. We have to unlock all these things that keep us bound to a sense of helplessness, limitation, and ignorance. It is really a Herculean task, much more than we by ourselves can handle. We need the Master's intervention. Meher Baba the Avatar, being one with universal consciousness and present in every individual mind, is aware that each one of us is really God, but that we are veiled by illusory impressions. Therefore, Baba is not aloof from the individual. He is the embodiment of God's love and his love for each one of us. It is not just an overshadowing blanket of love for masses of people. It is a very personal and intimate love for each individual as an individual. He knows everything about us, all our weaknesses and strength, as well as our potential. And he loves us unconditionally. He holds us to his heart very dearly, and he draws us into his being. And this, I feel, is the great blessing of our relationship with him.
Beautiful. Loud and clear. She got So we can get back to the gallery here. So does anyone have anything to comment about that? Anything to, any question or, I mean, this is, I mean, Darwin emphasizes it's very personal. It's not like he stops by every month and checks on how you're doing. He's there every moment of your life. There is like a metaphor that I think of it that kind of captures the way Darwin would talk about this relationship. You've all kind of seen these cutout doll houses where everybody's in these little rooms, and in there with the furniture and all of that. And we're all looking the other direction, thinking someone's going to come in through the front door, not realizing that there's no wall behind us. And in that wall, from that place behind us, Bob is looking at everyone personally. So it's there are examples, from Baba's life that maybe we'll get into later on of how intimate he sees us. But anyway, any comments, anything anyone wants to share?
Anthony?
Yeah. Hey, Jay, Bob, everyone. Yeah, it's beautiful just how Darwin puts that about the level of personalness and intimacy of what Baba gives us in our relationship. Yeah, I mean, just the vision I'm getting from that is just, this is what we've been using our parents, our teachers, our mentors, our best friends. I mean, all of those people were who we've been getting that level of intimacy from. And it's amazing just seeing how we, slowly transfer all of that onto Baba. And it doesn't mean that we still don't interact with our, closest family members and mentors and best friends. But, I know in my life, I've seen definitely some imperfect advice and guidance come through some of my closest loved ones. So I think that's been one of the biggest things over time, is learning to transfer a lot of that onto him, because even people with some of their best intentions, I realize they still like misread my situation and give me advice that might not exactly be correct, that has gotten me in trouble a time or two. So yeah, I think it's beautiful what Darwin's saying, to transfer that level of intimacy on him and just rely on Baba for that, that level of depth and guidance and closeness.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautifully said.
Betty?
Yeah.
That's, I just wanted to say that I what a beautiful turn of phrase, the Darwin, to say it's not an impersonal blanket of love. Wow. So well put. That's all, that it's more personal than that.
Yeah. I know when I first went to India, I thought, and this comes up in people's mind, I thought, well, Baba loves everybody, I know that, but does he really love me? I mean, like specifically me, or is it like kind of that blanket love? It's going out like the sun, but the sun isn't that personal, you know what I mean? So that's the valuable discovery, that it's intensely personal. Anyone else? I'll give you an example of the kind of personalness. Oh, no, we've got more people.
Okay, Marion?
Yes. Hi. I'll just make it short. I felt what struck me is something I learned a long time ago that has helped me so much in my quickening my transformation, not taking so long when I'm in kind of a befuddlement. And that is in the introduction there, what Darwin says about, in the second sentence, we become onlookers observing what is happening. And I have a motto taught to me by my teachers, and that is the first step of transformation is observation, not trying to be different, not trying to improve myself, not trying to be better. And it may be short, it may take weeks of observing, or could happen in a moment. When I report into Baba, oh, I notice that I'm still have that same limiting thought going through my head of not enough time and too much to do. And I prove it out every day, and it seems like it's a truth, but it's not. It's a belief. So what I get is that's so ingrained with me from childhood. I have to report into Baba and observe it, keep observing it. And the opportunities for transformation will show up. And then I'll take them because I'm doing that observing. And then this teacher said to me, and who's the observer? Well, spirit, of course. So I just want to put that in there as far as practical tools to use. To everybody's different. Those are my tools for getting my observer activated, because I can't, so I don't have to try harder to make changes.
Beautiful. Yeah. That carries out what Darwin's saying about more observing this process of him orchestrating things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rich?
Colorado.
Yeah, I think a couple of things that come to my mind, but I'm pretty familiar with this book, but I picked it up and read different sections at different times. I'm guilty of that, so so I may be jumping ahead here a little bit. One of the things that this section reminded me of is I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I think I pick up on other people's stuff. So now that I'm getting older, I think I'm more aware of that. And a part of me wants to isolate, but you can't run away from the world either. So I find it really tough to not be affected by the sanskaras of others. I guess I pick them up or whatever. I've learned not to get angry at people, because then you pick up a whole load of them, right? You don't want that. But and the other one is the same sort of vein, trying to remember Baba, and in the middle of all that, I have a hard time, unless I'm really into Baba's, we'll say his momentary embrace or something. Unless I'm really into that, it's like, where are you, Baba? Never mind. I'm done.
Yeah. No, that's like Erich would say, it's a game of hide and seek, for a long, long time.
Gail or Kippy?
Kippy.
It's going to be me this time.
Okay.
But am I unmuted? Yes. Okay. I came to Baba after I had been in 12-step groups, Al-Anon, for years. And so my relationship with my higher power earlier on was Jesus. And then when I came to Baba, what I already knew was that God speaks my language. God speaks your language and reaches you very personally, reaches me very personally. So something that someone else wouldn't notice, I would. And, conversely, God is going to reach us, whether it's songs on the radio or thoughts that we have or books that come our way, especially the Baba artists that we have. And I know it's extremely personal. And I'm just grateful that God, and to me, that answers the question of does God love me, that Jeff was talking about early on. And I know that because Mayor Baba's my higher power and has been reaching out to me. I used to say that I was picking up, I was doing better. I was picking up about 0.03% of what Baba was trying to tell me. And I think I'm up to maybe 0.04%. I mean, he's talking to us all the time and reaching out, and we're just kind of driving by and I'm like, oh yeah, call the fire department. There's a burning bush. And, it's my burning bush. So that's where I know that Baba is actively reaching out to us every minute of the day.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Paula Pam.
Hi, all. Um, this doesn't really have to do with the subject, I don't think, as much, but I had something unusual happen yesterday in that, I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and, they had a big birthday gathering. But I woke up yesterday morning and I was feeling a bit overwhelmed in general, and I didn't feel like being around people. I didn't feel like chatting and just, um, I just I chose to actually just be quiet. And it was a very unusual thing. And then, today I talked to a few people and they said, and another thing was I'm traveling in a week. I'm going somewhere and one of my nieces is immunocompromised and I didn't want to, I just had COVID a few weeks ago for the second time. So I just want to be mindful of that. But, there was a part of me that felt really guilty that, there's this opportunity to celebrate Baba. And yet Baba, wherever I am, Baba is. So it really doesn't really matter, and that's why I say this may not be related to what we're reading right now, but I just had to speak that because it was a little bit of a dilemma for me. And I would like to know if other people experience that sometimes, where you're not like in the most social mood and you just need to be quiet with Baba. So then,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anyone want to speak to that? I know we're.
I never do, but my wife does a lot. She needs to set the boundaries because she's in people's faces all week long and I'm home alone. So we kind of have different needs with
Mhm.
that. You want to say something?
Thank you.
Oh, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
If you look at Michelle and Terry, they're wearing the same exact shawl.
Uh,
I don't
From
know.
India.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Where at Jaipur? Marvin bought it for me. Oh my gosh, Jay Baba. I can say that there are times when I just need to be quiet and be alone. And now that my son's away at school, but I could also speak about really learning to get out of Baba's way. And that is I think it's a real challenge for me because my mind just goes tick, 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 tick. So I really liked what Marian said about limiting thoughts and just observing them. And that's what yoga is for, just observing the thoughts and letting them go. But really letting Baba get into the front seat and drive and letting me just go, okay, this is what you want, Baba. And how to do that is easier said than done. But I know he loves me. I'm sure of it. And Jay Baba.
Yeah. The mechanics, the dynamics of this whole thing is, I mean, you get a sense of humor about it after a while. Oh, okay.
Anthony.
I just wanted to say right on, Paula, for sure. I go through that all the time. And I used to feel bad about it when, there was some gathering scheduled or something and I didn't go because I wanted to feel alone. But I've had so many experiences now of forcing myself to do it and then getting into this really awkward, resentful place, that I make myself go do it, that I really honor it now. And my wife and I are like polar opposite psyches. I'm pretty introverted and she's the opposite end of the spectrum there, but I'm just not shy at all now about speaking up for my needs and not going to those gatherings when I know I'm going to get into that weird resentful place. And it's great. I'll have that time at home and it just turns into the most beautiful time of getting to do some reading or take a walk. And, then when there is the next social thing, or, I feel so much better about going into it because I feel like I took care of that need to be in the quiet. So yeah, don't feel bad or anything. Definitely. Yeah, I bet a lot of us have that need, J Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Marcia Meltz.
Well, I came to Myrtle Beach for Bob's birthday, and I ended up in the farm shed, and I missed all the events because I just couldn't leave, just was secluded with Baba. And I went out to do some things, but I missed all the big things like going to breakfast and going to the barn and all that. But I felt like I just was secluded with Baba, and I wanted to do everything. I did some teas and stuff, but I just went to Baba's house and to the barn. I didn't even go to the barn. And I actually, before Baba's birthday, 2 days before, I almost got killed in a car accident. And it was like I was driving this. I don't know, I kind of held all this and I wasn't going to share this with anybody, but I went to pick up paintings and I drove at night, and my intuition said, don't go out and do that, but this was before I came on the center. And I was driving down the highway and it was very dark, and I kind of hit a curb, like going 40 miles an hour. And then I knew that Baba was really there because the car flew up in the air. And I said, oh God, I'm dead, and I called to Baba and I said, oh my God, it's goodbye, because it was like a dark road, like that highway, And anyway, the car just went back on the road and I drove back. And it was like really weird, it was like, okay. And so I've been kind of just laying low and taking care of my body and drinking tea. And today I went to Baba's house and to the Lagoon Cabin and came out, and I wanted to go buy food because I ran out of food cooking for, potlucks and stuff. And what happened was Baba said, well, don't leave. You have to stay here. So I went and raided the kitchens for food and I made food. And it's just really kind of the strangest birthday I had with Baba. But anyway, I'm pretty happy. And then the dog started barking in the farm shed. And this is really weird. I kept saying, what are you barking at? And I looked and there was a snake in the cabin. So I had to call somebody. And I said, is that some message here that Bob is giving me? I mean, it was a non-poisonous one, but she kept barking. And I said, what are you barking at? And I look at the window and it's slithering down the window. So I said, well, what would you do if you were in this situation? So I said, well, I think I'm going to close up all the doors and lock it in the room. And I went out on the porch and somebody came, lives here, and took it out. And it was like, oh my God. So I've had like a kind of shocking time, but it kind of makes you be introspective, and figure out what's going on. I don't know. I said, I should feel like kind of beat up, but anyway, I guess it's going to be sharing this because people are going to see it. And I don't like usually share these kind of things, but it was just weird. Anyway, yeah. Jai Baba. And I still get to be here for a couple more days, so I'm happy.
But yeah, I mean, it's important to monitor your inner vitality, because if you get too low, being around people will make sure that you lose even more of your vitality sometimes. Sometimes it can lift it up, but I mean, we have to drop Paula off of the membership now after she didn't attend the last function. No. Okay, let's go on to the next section.
And let's see, can Gail and Kippy share?
I'm gonna let Kippy read.
Read, thank you.
Individual flowers. Like waiting for a flower to grow, Meher Baba is waiting for each one of us to withdraw from illusion. He is always watchful for those who are fed up and ready to turn away from the gross level to something more refined. The ego, anxious to preserve its illusory self, relies upon desires for those things that keep our attention riveted to things of the gross world. It is not very easy to draw our attention away from all the desires and the things of this world. But sooner or later, this must be accomplished, and Baba knows when we are ready to do that kind of work. The Master's work, by and large, is to dissolve our superficial outer shell, to awaken our dormant spiritual consciousness, and to lift our consciousness out of the level of duality, which is all the opposites, gain and loss, beginning and end, pleasure and pain. In other words, he takes us away from the illusory food of the Garden of Eden and gives us the food of the truth. He weans us away from the false and diffuses the energies of our sanskaras so that they no longer have power over us, eventually wiping them out. But his main task is to turn our attention toward God, toward reality, deepening and expanding our love so that we will long for God, long for reality, for the light or truth, even at the expense of denying ourselves completely. As the master within, he goes out of his way to push all of us closer and closer toward our own inner freedom until finally we are ready to let go of body consciousness altogether and live the life of the spirit. He knows exactly what each person needs, and rather than work with people in a general way, he works with each one of us in a unique manner designed to free our consciousness from, and that's where I can't read any further down on mine.
Diane, if you can rotate that a little bit. Okay.
Let's see, where are we?
Even rotate it a little bit more too.
I'm not sure where now that rotate our consciousness toward is what I remember, but I'm looking to see if it's maybe not in my screen. My screen's kind of.
Do it he knows exactly what each person needs. Start there again.
Hold on. Is that the?
It's the paragraph, as the master within, he goes out of his way.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Gotcha. He knows exactly what each person needs, and rather than work with people in a general way, he works with each one of us in a unique manner, designed to free our consciousness from bindings in the most efficient way. He understands all of our karma and our sanskaric accumulation, and he knows what can be done to help us along. So it is not that we are doing this work on our own, struggling in the dark. Some of our sanskaras are tenacious, and they can take years to wear out,
I think.
It can take years to, wear out, and see through that we are actually free, inwardly free of all these bindings. We have to trust in Baba's ability to work with us in bringing about solutions for becoming more selfless and letting go of veils that are no longer necessary.
Good. Okay. Anyone to speak to that?
Marvin and Michelle.
I think that struck a huge chord. Um, I think he uses illness and harrowing strife and suffering through illness and treatment to bring us closer to him. And that's been my experience this last 6 months that I've been going through. And I really feel, oh gosh, I would say really early on, like I just felt him just drawing me and pulling me closer and working through something. And I've had several major things happen. I fell down the stairs and broke my maxilla when Aaron was 5. My son was 5, and somehow I didn't break my neck. But that was not that bad of an experience. But I see, I'm not making myself and not being clear. I could just, he let me know that he was right there. There was a rainbow across the city, across the lake, the morning of my surgery. I live in Chicago, but I could feel his presence so closely and so palpable, and that it was going to be okay, and that whatever was happening needed to happen to bring me closer to him. And yeah, and I wrote this song, God Alone Is Real, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I just, yeah. So I really feel that, and it's a very individual thing. Like this thing happened to me, I had this experience, and I had whatever, the situation, the scenario of the illness was no matter, but it was very personal and it was very obscure, but he let me know that he was right there and he's right here. That's a really beautiful thing.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, very beautiful thing. And I wouldn't trade it because I got that song, God Alone Is Real. Jay Baba.
Yeah, Jay Bob.
Pamela?
Hmm?
Paula?
There I am. Hi. I just love this. This just really hits me. Some of our sanskaras are tenacious, and they can take years to wear out and see through, so that we're actually free. I just love that. I don't know. I never thought of sanskaras as tenacious, and that just really hit me just now, because sometimes I think like why do I need the same experience over and over again, to learn certain lessons? I'm always, amazed by it's like, haven't I been here before? Why am I doing this again and again and again? So I don't know. There's something about reading that word here about sanskaras being tenacious that really has affected me. Yeah. So.
No, that reminds me. Darwin used to talk about the whole kind of path as this kind of spiral that's going higher and higher, but it keeps going around. Like suppose you have trouble with the authority figures. So you get this boss and you deal with it, and then, 5 years later you get another boss, another job, and you're dealing with that thing again, and then your in-laws move in with you, and then you got that. What I mean is that each time it comes around, but you're dealing with it at a higher level. Even it seems like it's the same thing on the same level coming back and haunting you again. But each time we get another chance as this, this whole karmic circle comes around, and there's that issue again. But each time we get another chance at it, and it transforms very gradually. That was the image that he gave that I always found helpful. We are moving a little out of these things gradually. Okay, anyone else to speak to that last reading?
Any takers, or should we move on?
I just want to agree with what Paula just said. Yeah, some of them are tenacious, and Baba's got to do his work. So to get it through our thick skulls, that we got to transform somehow.
Okay, thank you. Peter?
Yeah, hi, everybody. The analogy that comes to me when it comes to a subject like this of samskaras gradually wearing out, there's a movie known as, I think it was No Way Out. It was with Kevin Costner. It was where he was a naval officer and he was accused of murder. And there was a picture in the movie that they were clarifying, and they had this, he was in naval intelligence, I think, and there was a picture that they had to get clarity on. There's a picture that went through a machine, and every time the wave of the machine went over, it clarified the picture. And let's just say, without going through the whole drama of the movie, which it was a good movie, it seems like every time, like the impression that's a thick impression or a tough to get rid of impression, like maybe lust, whatever it may be, greed, that every time we bring his remembrance into it, it gradually just takes another layer of the sanskara off. It just reminds me of that picture, how many times the picture had to be gone through over and over and over again ad infinitum. And that may be the case with these sanskaras, that takes lifetimes, that every time we bring his remembrance into it, it takes another very, very, very subtle layer of the sanskara off of it. It's just something that came to my mind with that.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent
Yes.
example.
Thank you. Rich?
Sorry about that. As Peter was talking, the thought kind of coalesced for me in my brain about when he spoke of sanskaras. The other day I was thinking kind of along these lines, and I was, what came to me was, how can I possibly really let go? Because I'm looking through this pair of goggles that's me, and it's all my sanskaras. And so I think that the series of incarnations of births and deaths, since we know we're going to face death, the process of dying is like all those sanskaras completely are exhausted of energy. So slowly, if you live long enough in your gross form, your gross form fades away, and that's that. But this process of being me, I see the whole world through all these sanskaras. If I look at a person like my friend Bob Yeager, I'm seeing part of me, but it may not be exactly who he is, but it's good enough for me to see him that way. But that means it's my sanskaras that are filtering what I see in Bob Yeager. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah. I'm reminded of the movie Groundhog Day, keep coming back until you do it with love.
Well, I guess it's no coincidence that Bob Yeager is next up.
Okay. Yeah, Darwin says in this section, Baba knows exactly what each person needs, and so refers back to that first section when he talks about it's not just this overshadowing blanket of love. Both of those things just strike me because, when Anthony talked about being an introvert, I too am an introvert, and over years and years and years, I've got used to that. Even beyond specific sanskaras, I think we get so used to who we think we are. We get so tied up in these personality traits. And when suddenly they're shaken up, by losing somebody or some, some huge change in the way we have to live, it's like, oh, who am I now? What is going on? I mean, but Baba knows precisely what button to push, what scab to tear off, what, thing to, and sometimes it's joyful and sometimes it's not so much, so, but there it is. So, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
You want to land the plane with one last read, Jeff? Should I do that?
Say that again?
Should
Yeah,
we
yeah, go ahead.
have time for another? Okay, so let's go here. Let's go there. And we've got the opting out of the duality game. And Marvin, what do you think?
Get closer.
He might opt out. You don't know.
Opting out of the duality game. Ultimately, Mayor Baba is helping us reconstitute ourselves in the light of the highest truth. As issues or matters that require reconstitution come up in our lives, he helps us see through them and gradually understand ourselves. These experiences force us to be flexible and not identify with the personality self, the false self. We gradually learn to be detached and say, oh, so that's what's happening now. We have to continually adjust to inner and outer situations. They're constructions of Maya, illusion. Anyway, but I find that Baba facilitates our ability to cope with whatever is happening. I feel that this work of reconstituting is always going on, and that he's working with each of us, whether we realize it or not. The avatar is completely unlimited and all-powerful. His work within us is unlimited, and all barriers can be resolved through his infinite power, which is an attribute of reality. His power is the power of truth, the sword of truth, slaying the falseness that makes us victims, bound at subjective levels to material things. In fact, most of his work with us is at subjective levels because, as Mayor Baba said, all infinitehood and limitations are subjective, all finite, oh boy, all finitehood and limitations are subjective and self-created. The only limitations we have are those we have imposed on ourselves. For ages, we have been taking duality as our reality, and the Master is trying to raise us out of that level. We have allowed all sorts of self-created conditions to make us happy or unhappy, when our only income comes from the Master. We no longer participate in the duality game. He gives us, and we're able to receive continuous light, continuous freedom, continuous reality. His love sustains us and becomes the primary force working through us.
That is so beautiful.
Anyone have something to say to that?
Well, let's go back to the Schaefer home, shall we?
Sorry, I'll make it really, really fast. So after my surgery, somebody asked me how I was doing, and I said I was recovering well, I thought, but I typed recoding. And then from then on, I've been saying that Baba has been recoding me. And how perfect that is. That he said it's reconstituting, is that what's,
Yeah.
but I said that Baba was recoding me, and so, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Baba's recoding me continuously. Jai Baba.
Anthony, I know that you wrote something in the chat. Do you want to bring it out and flesh it out? Not to put you on the spot, but look what I just.
Oh yeah, it wasn't anything too big there. Peter had made that good comment about the Sanskaras gradually getting worn out, and I can't remember if it was Darwin or if Jeff had given that analogy about the cafeteria where you take a plate. And Jeff, was that yours or Darwin's? I can't remember.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a metaphor that Baba gave me. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff might be able to share it better. I was trying to remember it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you want to take this chance to take us to your cafeteria?
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see how far back to go with it. Well, this buddy of mine and I, we were working up there at Schenectady. Darwin had gotten us the job at this nursing home, and he was talking about, giving whatever you're going through to Baba at the deepest level. And, he quoted Baba as saying to him and his family in 1956, "If you love me, you must give me everything. All your strengths, your weaknesses, your joys and sorrows, your pleasures and your pain. Give them all to me and be free. And that will please me." So he told us that. We were young, and he also said you need to create more inner space. We didn't know what he was talking about, and we'd never come across the term in the few Baba books that were available at that time. Inner space, what's that? But anyway, so we started, working at this nursing home, which infirmary part of so it was exhausting. And I started giving this, I would wake up in dread every morning, but usually by 11 o'clock it would dissipate. But when I started giving this dread to Baba, it not only continued, it continued right past 11 in the morning, all the way till bedtime. And then I'd wake up and it'd be dread again all day the next day. So after a month of this, I said, this is not working. I mean, giving dread to Baba is actually, I'm either not giving it to him, or I'm giving it to him and taking it back. And so I thought, well, I'll just kind of pass on this thing. Darwin wasn't pushing me or anything. And so on the day that I decided I'm just going to discontinue giving this dread to Baba that I felt, and I pictured Baba in front of me, and I would give that dread energetically to Baba day after day. But anyway, on the day that I decided to drop this idea, we were going to a cafeteria with Darwin and Jean. They were big on cafeterias, and there were a number of us. And I was waiting in line there, and at the front of the line of a cafeteria, there were these dinner plates that are spring-loaded. You take one off and another one pops up, and you take another one, another. So I'm in line and everything, and I get up there, and Baba flashes this to me. You're giving me a plate of dread, and you look down, there's no change. You give me another plate of dread, you look down, still no change. But meanwhile, the stack is diminishing unseen below. So I realized, even though I'm not seeing any result, I should Baba said, just go on forward with it. I am receiving it all, whether you see any results. And so the next day I mentioned this to Darwin, this very image that Baba gave me, and Darwin said, this has really been one of the most invaluable things in my life. He said Baba's being is impressionless. He's the and love is impressionless. And when you whatever impressions you give to Baba are gone forever. But there's a layer behind it that looks just like the one you gave him. So it doesn't seem like you gave him anything. But give him that layer. And there's a layer behind it. It's like this huge onion. If you take peel by peel, you know, you don't see any change until the onion gets quite small. So, but Darwin said the most important thing is as you give things to Baba and they're dissolved, they're deleted, they're gone. The most important thing is as you give things to Baba and he removes them, it makes more room for Baba to live in you. You're creating inner space. So we're basically emptying out the warehouse, you know, so that Baba can occupy our interior. And one day even said, even the good takes up space. The only thing that doesn't take up space is love. So go on just unloading your stuff. And Baba's happy. You know, he would say, Darwin would say, Baba would be happy to, I mean, we think we'd like to give Baba a fresh bouquet of roses. But even our worst garbage is like fresh roses to him. Anyway, that's the metaphor of the dinner plates at a cafeteria. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paula.
I'm just thinking that, you know, I have in my last week in Asheville, we had a Junie fire at the school that is the archive building projects, and it was outside, and I hadn't been to a Junie in years. I mean, I really haven't been to it. Well, I could have gone, I guess, at the Southeast Gathering, but I didn't choose to go. You know, I'm an elder now. It's like it was like beyond my bedtime. But anyway, it reminds me of when you throw something in the Junie. You know, this whole discussion about you know, what you said, that you were giving him, you know, your plates of dread. And it just reminds me very similar to like how sometimes it seems like things get worse, you know, when you throw something in the Junie.
Yeah.
And but then behind the scenes, I guess he's working on it in you, making space, I guess, more internal space, right? Did you say inner space?
Yeah, it creates inner space, internal
Yeah.
space.
Inner space. So, yeah.
Kitty's favorite line from the Bible was that I heard her say many times, not I, but Christ liveth in me.
Mm.
Actually, he is the one living, and we're just a shell. Darwin kind of was spoke the same way.
Okay, Marcia.
It's funny that you just brought up the Dooney, because I know when I first went to India, I threw worry into the Dooney and I just started getting over it. And I'm 76. But I'm in fire because I know that when you do that, it's really kind of weird. But what I wanted to face was that I have a lot of fear in me, right? So it seems like Bob has been throwing everything at me that will bring up fear, but I'm not upset by it anymore because I can understand.
Whoop, we're losing you a little bit. She's in the farm shed. I recognize the interior. She has.
Okay.
My internet keeps going out in the farm shed, but it's just, I'm going to speak pretty quick. It's just like everything that's happening. I understand. I know Bob is doing it, like to do this thing with the dishes. Like it's my fears that all these things that I've been afraid of all my life. So that couple times, years I came back here and I got lost in the woods. So I got rid of that fear. And now I'm not afraid of ticks anymore and snakes. So it seems like one by one, he's kind of like, and I didn't like actually write it down or put anything in the fire because I said, can you kind of be gentle with me? So, but anyway, he does work on you, and, he does everything. It's just for sure, there's no doubt that we're just all here together at this time, and it's like incredible time, right? Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Bye.
Marion?
Hi, I wanted to share something that delights me because when I read this in this part, these experiences force us to be flexible and not identify with the personality self, the false self. So I've been practicing more lately that if I want to put that, not identify with it, I first have to get to know it. I have to get to know it's there. So I'm not telling anybody what anybody else should do, but I'm a highly emotional person. So my personality needs to get to be in the face with my lower self, my critical self. I call her mean, nasty Marion, and she's there always with me. And my little 5-year-old is always with me. So when something comes up in my life that is so expansive to my spirit and entering into the new expanded state, I know now to expect my human self to say, no, I'm not going there. You can't make me. I'm going to stay right in the old way because that's familiar. And so I realize that what I'm doing, because I always tell Bob about it, is the talents I have, because I'm trained in psychodrama, I'm trained in core energetics, I'm trained in how to release from the subtle field, anything that's clogging it. So this has been a fun time to look at some things that are holding me up in my personality self. It's like, first of all, wrap my arm around them and give them some boundaries. And then they seem to want to come along with me a little bit. So I feel like Bob is really guiding me into use my creativity with my own situation. So I just wanted to share that because I find it's lifting such a burden from me of trying to be different and better.
Beautiful. Yeah. Hey, I think we're coming down to the end. Although I want to just throw this out, and I'll talk about it next time, but when I was back in 1970, when I was up there in Schenectady, after one of our meetings, we were having, apple juice and cookies. Darwin just, stand there. He looked at me and he said, "Jeff, you are not the personality self." Now that, I mean, what is he talking about? I mean, I thought, like I say, the whole purpose was to get to know myself and go on improving him and improving myself until I reach the goal. And he's saying I'm not the personality self. I'm like barking up the wrong tree. But he said the personality self is just a storefront for the soul. And we make such a big deal of the window displays changing with the seasons and everything when we could go inside and enjoy the priceless merchandise within the realm of the spirit. So I like that idea. The personality self is just a storefront for the soul. And for most people, that's everything. I'm a storefront. Walmart. I'll greet you there. Anyway, does anybody have like a final quote? Sometimes Mayor Prasad has something.
Yeah, I can read a short one, Jeff.
Before you do, next week I'm coming up with a topic, and then the next Sundays after that are effort. We come back to effort and grace, but next one will be one of our late night chat type things. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, Mayor Prasad. And then we'll have a few moments of silence.
All right. True spirituality can be attained not by the intellect, but by heart and feeling, by inner experience. I'll read that again.
Ooh, beautiful.
True spirituality can be attained not by the intellect, but by heart and feeling, by inner experience.
Beautiful. And that's what this book is about, you know, getting that heart and inner feeling.
For sure.
So let's have a few moments of silence. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Yeah. Any comments? You know, Mayor Prasad, can you read that once again? I just, it's so clear.
Yeah. True spirituality can be attained not by the intellect, but by heart and feeling, by inner experience.
Yep, beautiful. Yeah. Anything, any stray thoughts, any small change?
I'd like to hear that once again for the third time.
Fourth time.
Fourth,
For
actually.
Mayor. Thank you. Fourth time. Oh, God. Shameful. Okay. Four.
All right. True spirituality can be attained not by the intellect, but by heart and feeling, by inner experience.
You know, it was a quote that I came across from Rumi. When you're with everyone but me, you're with no one. When you're with no one but me, you're with everyone.
Can you repeat that, Jeff?
Yeah. When you're with everyone but me, you're with no one. When you're with no one but me, you're with everyone. Baba, you know, if you're with Baba, he embodies all of creation. So if you can hang out with him, you don't necessarily even have to know anything more about creation. Everything is contained in him. I mean, it's amazing that the Mandali were able to stay in Mandali, in Merzad, this little dinky place, and not feel like they were missing out. But they weren't missing out on anything. They were like connected to the soul of, in the Master's prayer, the soul of souls. So you hang out with Baba, you're with everyone. It's beautiful.
Jeff, just one second. That last line, the last line, I'm just a little overwhelmed by it. If you could just repeat the last one. When you're with,
Okay,
but
when you're with everyone but me, you're with no one. When you're with no one but me, you're with everyone. That's Rumi. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jeff, I remember, Jeff, that something that Erich told me. He said that Bob was a very jealous lover. And I always remembered that. He said he wants us, you know, he wants our love.
Yeah. I mean, he's jealous for our sake, you know. In other words, his whole thing is to get our attention on him, because that's the best way to grow and open out. Yeah. No, we had beautiful times.
Yes. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Baba.
Sometime I'll read this cockamamie poem that I wrote. Well, I wouldn't even say it's a poem. I woke up at 3 in the morning and over here on the sofa and I typed up this thing. And it's called going along for the ride is the name of it. You know, it traces my early life with Baba all the way kind of to the present in the metaphor of driving in a car.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it fits in with what Darwin was talking about. Anyway, anything else?
Jeff, can you read that poem that you wrote next time we meet for Effort and Grace in a couple of weeks, please?
Yeah, I'll read it. It's kind of about this very stuff, but it just kind of came to me, and it just kind of typed itself out. Yeah.
Why don't you read it now?
Yeah. Can you read it now?
I know you teased us. We want to know. I bet it's
Or make it the theme for next week's chat.
You
No,
want to hear cockamamie?
Okay, it's kind of short. I'll read it. And then it's called Going Along for the Ride, Evolving Toward the Provisional Ego. This life with Bob is like driving a car along the perilous highways of this world. It starts out like this. I am behind the wheel, and I have placed Baba in the back seat. He lovingly accepts this arrangement. At first, I have the windows rolled down, and I only vaguely hear any guidance Baba might have to give me from behind. I learn to value his interventions. From time to time, he helps me when I am totally lost or am approaching serious danger. In an effort to hear him better, I turn down the radio and roll up the windows. What an improvement. I find that Baba is an excellent backseat driver. Discovering over time how helpful he is, I invite him to come up and sit in the passenger seat. Baba's perfectly fine with that. We have great conversations, and I enjoy his companionship. I can tell him everything. Occasionally, he suddenly grabs the wheel so we avoid an accident. When I get drowsy, I notice he does a little of the steering. I begin to trust him a little bit more. Then at one point it becomes clear that we really need to switch places. I move over to the passenger seat and let Baba get behind the wheel. At first, time to time, I grab the steering wheel when he turns towards somewhere I don't want to go, especially into the congestion of big cities. Sometimes he drives through dark neighborhoods where I feel frightened. Sometimes he spends too much time driving on roads that don't seem safe. Sometimes he drives too slow and sometimes too fast. I have to work at trusting him. But time and again, his decisions prove to be the best. He might turn off the highway onto a side road, and we find out later that a bridge ahead had been washed out, or a patch of the highway was iced over. I realize my habit of grabbing the wheel from him is not helping. I decide it's best to move to the back seat and let him do the driving. I am now the backseat driver. Sometimes I yell out instructions, and he is so accommodating. He doesn't force his will on me. Eventually, I see that it is easier to let him do the driving entirely. I trust him more completely, and I don't even bother to watch the highway anymore. From the back seat, I find I'm so attracted to watching him drive the car. And then I'm content to just watch him. I notice for the first time how beautiful Baba is doing something so very ordinary. I begin wondering, who is that in the driver's seat? He looks like me, but I'm here in the back seat. Has he become what was formerly me? So simple, so natural, just an ordinary person? I wonder what's supposed to happen to me. Am I now to watch Baba live my life from the back seat? Am I no longer to look through my eyes, but through the eyes of pure awareness itself? If Baba has become me, then I must be nobody. What an immense relief. Does he want to eclipse my personality and drive this jalopy of a car through the world, and I have only to witness this? Could it really be that simple? Baba has said that he is the one who plays all the roles. Does this mean that everyone is really Baba in disguise? And we are just consciousness witnessing this? My ego says, have I been taken for a ride? But my soul counters, oh no, this has been the ride of a lifetime. Only time will tell.
Wow.
Bravo.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think
Bravo.
that's wonderful, Jeff.
It does make sense.
I would love to
yeah.
have
Wow.
a copy of that story, that poem.
Yeah, well, yeah, if I have your email address, I can send it off.
Sounds like it's time for another book.
Perfect timing.
He and Bob Yeager have a book of poems called Whistling Past the Tavern, available at Sherryar. I'm just letting you know. But it sounds, I think Bob's been working on some things. Maybe you've got another book in there, guys.
Good, possibly. Bob was the one that did all the work on it. Hey, Paula, what is your email address?
Paula Pam W at yahoo.com.
At Yahoo. Okay, you're one of those Yahoo people. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Can you send it to me too, Marcia?
Okay.
Jeff, I think maybe the entire group would want it.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Is there some
Yes,
place
please.
I could send it just to one place and then it goes out?
Who writes your
letter thing?
Yeah, your letters. Just put it in
yeah,
that, Jeff.
I'll put it in that. Good.
Yeah. You know, Jeff, it brought tears to my eyes, wishing that we could all, every single one of us, see Baba in our eyes. It's just really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You know, after I wrote this, Dan Ladinsky, you probably know him, he told me he was walking with Erich down the approach road, and Erich said, there has been no Erich for years. Baba has made me, through his grace, Baba has made me the perfect witness. So Erich is kind of walking along what we think is Erich, but he's actually witnessing Erich as Baba just walking along. Not the avatar Baba, the Erich Baba. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, it's, so he's off to the side just witnessing, and he said there's been no Erich for years. Meaning that he's just, and not only that, I once asked Merwan Jesawala, you know, when he was a little boy, Baba said, see that kid over there? He's a saint. I mean, this is when he was even a kid, Erich. I mean, Merwan Jesawala. But one time I said to Merwan, you know, he would be with Baba there 1 month out of the year. And most of that time he would spend in Mandalay Hall. And I said, Merwan, you know, you're there in Mandalay Hall, you know, almost every day. You're watching Baba, you know, responding to the Mandalay, to visitors, and to doing the correspondence. What kind of thoughts and feelings would go through you witnessing this? And Marilyn said, I had no thoughts or feelings.
Amazing.
I
That's
said,
a high level of
let me
awareness.
shake your hand. That's impossible. What I mean is he's just witnessing. He's not looking through Merwan at this with all the feelings and thoughts. He's just looking at Baba through pure awareness.
Extraordinary. What a level.
Incredible. I mean, but that's where Bob is leading us, where we don't look through the personality self. We kind of look through just kind of pure awareness.
So Jeff, if you look through pure awareness, does that mean you don't have the emotion of love?
No, you're in love the whole time.
Yeah, that if you can get to there, you are really in a place of love, or you're witnessing Baba's love.
Yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily.
I don't feel love. I'm just seeing love.
It's like what can I say? It's beyond feeling. Can you imagine a place beyond feeling where you're just
No, I can't.
You're watching God Himself moving in this world.
Yes. Love is an energy. It's not a feeling or an emotion.
Yeah.
It seems like my relationship with people and Baba is I love you or I like you, but I love Baba. And I can't imagine what would there be if I didn't love Baba? What would happen? I just would see something.
You would just witness love itself without the lover beloved. You would just see, oh my God, just this is all love. That's my feeling that you are, it's an experience, but it's not a feeling, if you can imagine.
And I just want to add one more comment, because Baba said that the way to love me is to know that the way to love me is to know that I love you.
That's another. Yeah.
It has a lot in it.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Because he's like a mirror.
That's right. The way to love me. Because when I say, oh, I love you, Bob, and it's from an emotional place, I know I'm experiencing the distance between us, and that's okay.
Right. That's true.
And I am love flowing through me, that energy I am taking in and receiving and allowing Baba's love. And then I know I'm loving Baba.
Beautifully said.
Thanks, Marianne. That's really beautiful.
So if you're just witnessing Baba, it's not you and him. It's like a oneness. So that oneness is, who can describe that? When you go, Baba.
Yeah, the word feelings has, I don't know, so many layers of meaning and feeling, if you will. I mean, part of the discussion we just had reminded me of the short quote that Meher Prasad read. Meher Prasad, have you got that handy? Would you do it again? the fifth time.
It's equals to 5. You might as well get to 7.
There you go.
One for each plane of consciousness.
Yeah, here you go. True spirituality can be attained not by the intellect, but by heart and feeling, by inner experience.
So feeling, I mean, I don't know, what can I say? Deep feeling must play a role here in some important way.
It's the link from where we are to that place. Darwin used to say longing. Longing is our link, and that longing actually leads to merging.
Oh, that's good. Longing.
In the meantime, that feeling is the best. That longing is the best thing, and gratitude. I feel longing and gratitude is the what we ride on in order to merge with Baba's love, I would say.
Jeff, what did Merwan say again?
He
What was
said,
that Merwan said?
I had no thoughts or feelings.
I have no thoughts or feelings.
I had no thoughts or feelings. He witnessed, I used to feel that with Kitty. She'd be over into me, looking away from herself. Not looking through herself, but I don't know, looking through her soul, not her personality self. So it's a different type of human being than the Walmart welcome.
Oh, good night,
Yeah,
Diane.
Hey,
Diane's
don't keep
leaving us.
Diane late. You know, she's got it.
Thank you,
Gotta
Diane.
go to work.
Okay.
We have early mornings tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm
Good.
doing the
Thank you.
recording now.
Thank you, Diane.